So today it's about the use of excessive force and complaints about excessive force and what strategies we can use to address those complaints. And basically, if you think about it, the use of force is necessary. Um, However, excessive force is a different story. Um, in law enforcement, it is needed. Sometimes deadly force is needed um, to accomplish the end goal, which is to protect the community. A lot of times, sometimes that can get, how you say it, sometimes it can go a little beyond the normal use of force, which that's when excessive force comes into play. But basically, the officers are trained and they're equipped to overcome resistance and to make sure that the community is protected. Um, but sometimes, depending on the situation, that can go a little left. Now, in my opinion, the media doesn't, how do you say, the media doesn't help the situation because they shed light on a lot of the bad situations where excessive force may have been exercised, and then people like citizens um, get the wrong opinion about the use of force. Um, Looking here, I'm trying to look in my paper too. Sorry. But they play a huge role in the community's perception of the excessive use of force, from like news articles to radio shows and television reports. They make it seem like, there's a widespread of excessive use of force by the law enforcement officers. However, I believe there's isolated situations that may have taken place. Um, of the hundreds of thousands of police citizen contacts that occur every day, the only ones that seem to receive media attention would be the ones involving the excessive force, meaning they like to glorify the ones, um, those isolated incidents, rather than focusing on, um, you know, that's not an everyday thing. That's not something that happens on a regular basis. Um, Now, it does exist and it is a slight problem. However, that's not, the everyday situation. Um, and again, it's not lawful. It is unlawful. Now, there are a variety of different programs that can focus on developing better relationships between the police and the public. Um, Citizens, they have the citizens academics and ride along programs, and which those are suggested as ways to have participants, feel like they're a part, to where they can actually, witness what goes on a daily basis and not just get their information from the media, because sometimes the media can embellish it. Um, well, it gives them a better grasp on, what's going on and how complex it can be as an law officer. Um, so they can view it from the other side and not just from the citizens' perspective. Um, and that's because sometimes I don't think they realize When you're faced with life or death situations, sometimes, you know, force is a must. Like, there's no way, other way around it. It's easier for us to criticize as a citizen without knowing or being put in that situation. Um, I think a lot of different training programs can be done where it's not just a one time deal. It can be done like quarterly as a refresher to where officers can always just get reminded on different ways. Because sometimes dealing with even mental patients, I know I didn't mention that in my paper, but even dealing with mentally ill patients, you have to know, there's a special way to deal with them. And sometimes that can be viewed as excessive force when really, you know, you have to have, there's a certain way, you got to have certain education and training to deal with a mental health patient, because they may not understand the normal commands on a regular level versus, dealing with some challenges they have no, a different understanding. So I think different training programs could be something that could be looked at to where they would do those quarterly, to just have, a refresher, or if there's something else that can be done as far as to, new ways or new ideas to address certain situations, that would also be helpful. Um, it can also provide them with a better communication skills, even when they're in crisis situations. Um, I also think that, reviewing some certain policies on a regular basis to make sure things are still, make sure certain policies are still like effective. If not, tweak and change them to where they would, be more effective and efficient. Um, and basically, um, it's all about, getting the citizens involved so that they can see both sides, and just making sure officers are equipped with everything they need to complete the task, which is, again, to protect the community, and to make sure everyone's safe and to try to prevent the crime, if not prevent, but hold people accountable. And I think that's everyone's end goal and end result.